Hello guys, this lesson is about kinetics of curvilinear translation, dynamic equilibrium. So, kinetics, it studies the relationship between forces and motion. Kasi sabi nga dito, ang kinetics of curvilinear translation daw is study how forces affects the motion of an object moving along a curved path. So, studies how forces affect, diba? So, kinetics. And then, curvilinear means the object moves along a curved path. Object moving along a curved path. And translation means the object moves without rotating as a whole. So, dito kasi, ano lang siya, yung object, liliko lang. Dito, an object traveling on a curved path continuously changes its direction. At kapag daw yung speed ay nag-change, mag-change din yung direction at the same time. Pero pwede rin pag hindi nagbago yung speed, mag-change pa rin yung direction. Unlike sa straight line motion, yung speed niya nag-change lang kapag nag-accelerates or decelerates. Tapos yung direction niya hindi nagbabago. Constant lang. Ang sabi pa dito, when an object moves along a curved path, it experiences two types of acceleration. So, yun yung tangential acceleration and normal acceleration. Tangential acceleration acts along the tangent to the path. It changes the speed of the object. So sabi dito, acts along the tangent to the path. So as you can see sa illustration or picture dyan sa may PowerPoint, yung tangential acceleration yun yung horizontal, naka-horizontal line. And yung normal acceleration naman acts toward the center of curvature. So yun na yun, nasa gitna. Kung makikita nyo ulit, nasa gitna. It changes the direction of the object's velocity. Sabi pa, a higher speed or tighter curve means a larger normal acceleration. Mas mataas daw yung acceleration or normal acceleration kapag mas mabilis or mas maliit yung curve. And itong dalawang to, yung tangential and normal acceleration, is always perpendicular to each other. So, naka 90 degrees siya always. So, don't forget that. And since they are perpendicular to each other, so, pwede natin siyang total, makuha yung total acceleration by using Pythagorean theorem. So guys, bibigyan ko kayo ng key points to remember. So first, curvilinear motion means motion along a curved path. Kinetics studies the forces that produce that motion. Velocity changes because of a change in speed, direction, or both. And tangential acceleration changes speed. Normal acceleration changes direction. Tangential and normal accelerations are perpendicular to each other. The total acceleration is the vector combination of these two components.
Hi everyone, ngayon naman, ang i-discuss natin ay ang analysis of a simple pendulum. So, ano nga ba yung simple pendulum? So, guys, kung nakakita na kayo ng simple pendulum, composed siya ng isang maliit na mass na, or ng isang maliit na object na tinatawag na bob. So, yung bob na yun, naka-attach siya sa isang inextensible string. Inextensible meaning yung length niya fixed na yun, hindi siya mag-extend, and hindi rin siya mag-shorten pa. So, 'di ba? Yung, ano naman na yun, so kung mapapansin nyo, kung yung bob, halimbawa, di ba, sa pen na to, nagtali ako ng string na may, alam niyo yung bola ng jackstone. So, halimbawa, nagtali ako dito. So, di ba kapag ni-release natin siya from here, halimbawa, ito na lang yung resting point niya. Pag ni-release natin siya or pag binitawan natin siya from here, so, ang tendency, di ba, nung bob is mag-move siya back and forth. So, mag-move lang siya ng ganun. Mag-back and forth lang siya. So, yung tawag dun sa motion na yun is oscillatory motion. So, bakit ba nagkakaroon ng oscillatory motion? So, yung oscillatory motion, nangyayari siya dahil sa gravity. Yung gravity kasi, 'di ba? Pinupull niya yung bob pabalik sa equilibrium point ng pendulum. Yung equilibrium point ng pendulum, 'di ba, sa gitna siya. So, yung gravity, 'di ba, nandito yung bob. Pag binitawan mo siya, yung gravity, ipupull siya pababa. So, 'di ba yung ano naman, hindi siya nagsa-stop talaga sa gitna. Nagmo-move lang siya pag ganun. So, once na napunta siya dito, ang tendency, ipupull uli siya nung gravity, pabalik dito. So, ang nangyayari lang, nagpapabalik-balik lang sila. So, so, yun yung reason kung bakit siya ganon na motion or nagkaka-oscillatory motion. So, dito, 'di ba, may provided ako na diagram dito sa may right side. So, makikita dito sa sa diagram na yung movement nga nung bob, hindi siya nakaano sa straight line. Hindi siya nakaganon. Nagmo-move siya. Parang sa siya, yung path niya is pa-arc. So, yung reason dito is dahil nga sa fixed din yung length niya and also yung center nung circular path or yung pivot point, naka-fix siya sa taas, 'di ba? Hindi naman siya mababago. Magmo-move lang yung bob, pero yung point kung saan nakatali yung string, doon lang siya, hindi siya gagalaw. So, yun guys. So, proceed tayo sa next slide. So, dito naman sa next slide, dito na natin makikita yung yung free body diagram ng simple pendulum and yung mga equations na ginagamit para ma-analyze yung motion dito or yung nangyayaring motion niya sa pendulum. So, dito sa may left side, dito mo makikita, 'di ba? Given dyan yung theta. So, yung theta, yun yung yung angle na na-form nung pendulum mula dun sa vertical. Yung vertical, yun yung gitna. Yung naman, yung length, equal din siya sa equal din siya sa radius. Kasi 'di ba? Kung mapapansin nyo, yung length ng string mula siya dito sa may pivot point papunta hanggang dun sa may arc. Yung sa sa may bob. So ayan. So papunta dun yung length ng string. Eh 'di ba ang definition ng radius siya? Distance siya mula sa center ng circle papunta dun sa arc nito, 'di ba? So, kung makikita niyo naman, ayan yung diyan, yung length, yun na yun. So, dito rin sa may sa may left side, 'di ba? Makikita dito yung two forces na nag-a-act upon dun sa bob. So, yung una is yung weight ng bob. Composed siya nung mass at saka ng gravity. So, yung nito, yung weight na yun, laging pababa. Lagi niyang pinupull pababa yung nung bob. Kasi, di ba nga, present yung gravity. Tapos, yung naman, yung isang force pa na nag-a-act dito is yung tension. Yung tension, nandyan siya sa string. 'Di ba? Yung tension na yun yung naghihila dun sa bob para so yung tension na yun, sorry. So, yung tension na yun yung nanggihila sa bob, papunta dun sa pivot point, dun sa may tinatalian or dun sa pinag-a-attachan nung string. So, dito naman, 'di ba? Yung weight, 'di ba? Yung weight natin, kung makikita nyo yung pagkaka-drawing niya, tapos or yung pagkaka-plot niya, yung ano niya, yung weight na yun, parang resultant siya. So, ibig sabihin, meron siyang components. So, yung vertical component niya, nung weight, ay 'di ba ano siya? Yung weight cosine theta. Tapos, yung horizontal component niya ay yung weight sine theta. Yung nasa may tangential direction. So, kung magtataka kayo bakit vertical yung cosine theta, 'di ba? Yung angle, nakikita nyo, yung angle dyan, nag-form siya dun sa may string ng pendulum hanggang dun sa may vertical. Dun siya naka-attach. So, ayun. Kung i-recall nyo naman sa statics, ayun, maano nyo yan. Tapos, ayan. So, dito naman sa may right side, parang mas elaborate siya. So, kung makikita nyo, meron ng ano dyan, yung REF. So, yung REF ng tangential, parang lagi siyang opposite doon sa force na nagpupull or sa direction kung saan papunta yung bob. So, 'di ba? Dito sa ano na to, sa diagram, parang ang nagpupull pababa or pabalik doon sa equilibrium point dito sa bob is yung horizontal component ng bob, yung W sine theta. So, yung REF na tangential, lagi siyang opposite sa direction nun. Same din sa REF ng normal direction. Kung halimbawa pataas yung sa tension, so halimbawa lagi naman siyang pataas, 'di ba? So kung pataas yung tension, yung direction ng REF na yun opposite sa kanya, pababa din siya. So kung iaan nyo naman, kung mas papadaliin natin, basta yung summation nung yung sa mga equation ko nakikita nyo sa right, yan na yung mga equation na magagamit natin sa pagdetermine nung mga kailangang hanapin sa isang problem. Halimbawa, tangential acceleration. Depende na sa given yan. So, yung sa summation ng forces along normal direction, kung iaano nyo yan, parang summation of forces sa sa vertical or summation of vertical forces. So, ano yan, kumbaga, along the string, yung ano dito? Yung summation ng forces along normal direction. Basta along the string lagi yan. Tapos, yung summation of tangential forces naman, along siya doon sa motion ng arc ng pendulum. So, kung kung isusulat natin, 'di ba? So, sa summation of normal forces or summation of forces along normal direction. So, since yung tension pataas siya, 'di ba? So, yung tension, since pataas siya, positive. Tapos, yung naman next na present is yung vertical component ng weight. So, 'di ba ang vertical component ng weight is yung W cosine theta. Tapos, pababa siya. So, negative. Same as yung REF ng sa may normal direction. 'Di ba yung direction niya is same dito sa dito? Sa vertical component ng weight. So, negative din siya. So, kung isusulat nyo siya, so, yung tension minus W cosine theta minus yung REF ng normal equals to 0. Yan na yung equation. So, usually yung equation na to, ginagamit siya kapag halimbawa, may involved na velocity. So, next naman is yung summation of forces along tangential. Since ang present lang naman dito sa may tangential, 'di ba? Ayan, no, yung nakaganan. So, ang present lang naman dyan is yung horizontal component ng weight and yung REF na opposite ng direction niya. So, since pag ganun, yung weight, ito, pababa. So, negative siya. So, negative W sin theta plus yung REF. So, ayan, plus REF equals to 0. Tapos, pwede mo na siya ayan, transpose dyan. Tapos, 'di ba? Etong equation naman na to, kung mapapansin nyo, mas ano siya, parang less lang yung given niya. So, ginagamit to usually pagkuha ng tangential acceleration na nung bob. So, that's all. Thank you.
So let's start with the next topic, which is the analysis of conical pendulum. We already know from the previous topic what a pendulum is. A simple pendulum is when an object hangs from a string and it swings from a singular plane. Now this is where the conical pendulum differs from it. A conical pendulum, it says here that it is a system in which a mass is attached to a string and moves in a horizontal path while the string remains at a constant angle with the vertical. As it rotates, the string traces out the surface of an imaginary cone, which is why the motion is called a conical pendulum. See here dito sa ating sample illustration of what a conical pendulum is, we can see that the mass that hangs from a pendulum or on the string follows a circular path as it rotates. Unlike diba dun sa simple pendulum which is back and forth lang from a singular plane, dito naman meron siyang nabubuong rotation as it moves. Doon din niya nakuha yung name niya na conical pendulum from shape of a cone. Diba? Imagine nyo tong mass na to. Habang nakakonect tong line na to or itong cable na to na nagko-connect sa kanya, habang umiikot to, may nabubuo siyang cone. Kaya doon niya nakuha yung name niya. Unlike a simple pendulum which swings back and forth in a simple plane, a conical pendulum undergoes a continuous circle. Kaya nga, gaya ng sabi ko kanina, umiikot siya unlike dun sa back and forth motion lamang ng simple pendulum. Okay, let's now proceed to the computational parts on how we resolve this. First up, let's go with how to resolve it vertically. Alam naman natin, di ba, ang first step ng pagkuha ng mga components natin is the pagdodrawing ng FBD. And after we draw the FBD, makakapag-come up na tayo ng mga ways on how to resolve its components. First up, dito sa example na to, di ba, isa lang yung ano niya. Dito lang yung point na pwede tayo magawa ng FBD is dito sa mass niya. So, gamit doon, makakakuha tayo ng, pwede natin makuha yung tension, yung vertical component ng tension which is T sin theta. Then, next naman is yung vertical component ng weight. Ito. Since, di ba, ano naman siya? Since mass times gravity pagkuha natin, magsi-zero siya. Kasi, wala naman siyang vertical movement na nangyayari. Lahat ng movement nitong mass na to is horizontally lamang. So, 0 yung ating resultant vertical. Kasi nga, hindi naman siya nag-move up and down. Kasi ang movement niya is rotation. Flat rotation, parang gumaganon siya. Gamit yung mga nakamap natin na formula na yon. Ito, this relationship can be expressed as T sin theta is equals to mg, wherein the T is the tension of the string, m is yung mass ng object, g is the acceleration due to gravity, and theta is the angle of the string with the vertical. Next naman is how to resolve it horizontally. Ang horizontal components nito is makakamatan is t cosine theta. Same then, t is for tension ng string, then yung theta is yung angle. Then the vertical component of the weight, C0. Since 0 yung vertical component ng weight natin, makakamap natin yung equation na ito. Ang resultant horizontal niya is t cosine theta. Yun lang yung gagamitin natin para makuha yung horizontal component niya. Resultant horizontal. Next is centripetal force. Ito nga, since RV natin, resultant vertical natin is 0, since wala naman siyang movement na up and down, yung RH lang yung pagkukuhanan natin dito ng ating resultant. Gaya nga ng sabi ko kanina, ang resultant ng horizontal natin is t cosine theta, and ang pagkuha naman ng formula ng centripetal force natin is mv square over r. So same lang siya, since yung centripetal force natin is equal sa horizontal component ng ating itong system na to. So equate lang natin siya sa formula ng centripetal force, which is itong mv square over r. With using those knowledge, makakamap natin itong t cosine theta is equals to mv square over r, wherein the v is the tangential velocity nung mass natin and r is yung radius nung circular path na iniikot ng ating object.
Now that we all know the concept of kinetics of curvilinear translation, alamin naman natin yung mga real-life application nito in relation to dynamic equilibrium. So, hindi man natin nakikita, napapansin, or nararamdaman, pero yung concept ng kinetics of curvilinear translation is something we encounter in everyday life. Whether it's car on highways, roller coasters, airplane, or even in sports. So, understanding the concept of curve motion helps engineers design safer roads, vehicles, and transportation system. So, again, balikan natin yung curvilinear translation. Di ba ayun yung motion ng object moving along curved path? Example dito is yung car na dadaan nga sa curve highway. Ayun, pumapasok dun yung relationship niya sa dynamic equilibrium. Kasi yung dynamic equilibrium, di ba ayun yung object na patuloy na umaandar. Pero may force na nag-a-act dun sa may object na yung force niya is balance. Kaya yung yung galaw niya is stable pati controlled na. Makikita natin to sa mga kotse na dumadaan sa curve highway. 'Di ba yung car kapag nandoon na sila sa curve, hindi na siya hindi na straight yung under niya kasi nga it follows a curve path na. And then para manatili yung car dun sa sa path na tinatahak niya, yung gulong gumagawa siya ng friction with the road o dun sa may kalsada na nagpo-provide ng force enough lang para para makaliko or makadaan ng safely. Ayun, 'di ba? Kapag alam mo 'yun, mami-maintain mo yung speed. Tapos pag na-maintain mo yung speed tapos wala namang problema sa road design, and edi yung mga sasakyan na dadaan do sa curve path is makakaliko or makakadaan ng smoothly without skidding. So, pansinin natin yung equation dito sa baba ng picture. AN is equals to V squared over R. Na kung saan yung AN is the normal acceleration, yung V naman yung velocity ng car, tapos yung R yung radius ng curve. Sa equation na yan, makikita natin yung relationship ng speed pati yung required force para manatili yung car doon sa curve path. Kasi habang bumibilis yung kotse, tumataas din yung kailangan na force para para manatili yung car dun sa curve path. Kaya yung yung overspeeding talaga sa sa mga curve na na mga daan, talaga siya, dangerous talaga siya. Tapos another example naman is yung roller coaster. Kada ikot nun, pinag-aaralan yun ng engineer. Gumamit sila ng same principle katulad ng sa kinetics of curvilinear translation, para masigurado na yung mga sasakay is magi-enjoy at ligtas naman sila, ganon. Kaya tayo mga future engineers, mahalagang isaulin natin yung concept nito, kasi pagdating ng panahon, pwedeng maisipan natin na mag-design ng road, ganon. Ayun, dapat alamin natin kung ano nga ba yung mga correct curve radius, banking angle, tapos mga speed limits. Kasi ayun yung yung mga factors na makakatulong sa mga driver na na maging ligtas habang nagda-drive sa sa curved path.
Hey everyone, so now I'm going to summarize all the key concepts, applications, and formulas used in our topic. So, number 1, kinetics of curvilinear translation. First, what is this topic all about? It simply studies how forces change the motion of an object moving along a curved path. Unlike straight line motion, here direction is always changing, so acceleration always exists even if speed stays the same. So there are two types of acceleration acting at the same time. Tangential acceleration, it acts along the path, so it only changes the speed, makes it faster or slower. Next is the normal or centripetal acceleration. It points toward the center, so it only changes the direction of motion. So to make calculations easier, we use the Alambert's principle. We add an inertia force so we can solve the problem just like static equilibrium. So next is the centrifugal force. When a body moves in a curve or circle, it feels an outward pull or inertia effect. That is centrifugal force. Under the Alembert, we treat it as the reverse effective force or REF. So magnitude is equals to mass times centripetal acceleration. Then direction is equals to radially outward, opposite to centripetal acceleration. So formula, REF is equals to WV squared over GR, wherein W is equals to weight, V is the linear speed, G is the gravity, and R is the radius. So third, simple pendulum. This is a small weight called a bob, hung by a light unstretchable string from my peak's pivot. When released, it swings back and forth in one plane, following a circular arc. So the forces acting are tension along the string and weight pulling straight down. So we split forces into two directions. Normal, it gives us the tension force in the string. Tangential, a component of weight creates tangential acceleration, so this is what makes it speed up, slow down, and keep swinging. So fourth, conical pendulum. Do not confuse it with the simple one. So here, the mass spins at constant speed in a horizontal circle, and the string traces the shape of a cone. So big difference, it does not swing back and forth, unlike the simple pendulum. So speed is constant, no tangential acceleration, only centripetal acceleration. So force balance here is simple. Vertical, upward part of tension balances the weight. Then horizontal, inward part of tension is equals to centripetal force, and then it keeps it moving in a circle. So we use this to solve for tension, speed, angle, or time per revolution. Last one, the real-life applications. So now, why does this matter in real life? This is the foundation used by engineers to design highways, flyovers, roundabouts, curb bridges, and bank roads. With these formulas, we compute the safe speed limit on every curb so vehicles do not skid or overturn, making a road much safer. So you also see this in amusement, park rides, and rotating machines. And now, let's move on to all these sample problems.
Now let's move on to the concept of centrifugal force. Let's start with a foundational definition. Whenever a body undergoes curvilinear translation along a curved or circular trajectory, it experiences an outward directed inertia effect known as the centrifugal force. Now, I want to be very precise with my language here. In classic physics, we often hear centrifugal force described as a fictitious or pseudo force. But in the realm of engineering mechanics and kinetics, it is highly structural reality that we manage using the Allenbert's principle. Let us take a deeper and more rigorous look at what is happening fundamentally when a body undergoes kinetics of curvilinear translation. To understand centrifugal force at an engineering level, we must first understand a common point of confusion: the difference between an inertial frame of reference and a non-inertial frame of reference. If you are a stationary observer standing on the ground watching a car turn left, you are an inertial frame. From your perspective, the car is accelerating inward toward the center of the curve because of a real physical force, centripetal force, supplied by the friction between the tires and the road. This matches Newton's second law perfectly. An imbalanced inward force causes an inward acceleration. However, if you are passenger sitting inside that turning car, your immediate physical reality is entirely different. You are inside an accelerating, non-inertial frame of reference. You do not feel an inward force pushing you into the turn. Instead, your body experiences a distinct, powerful sensation of being pushed outward, away from the center of the curve, pressuring you against the car door. This outward manifestation is what we define as the centrifugal force. But why does this happen? Is there an invisible hand physically pushing you out of the vehicle? No. This force is a direct consequence of your body's own mass, resisting a change in its linear trajectory. According to Newton's first law of motion, an object in motion will naturally tend to continue moving in a straight line at a constant speed. When a car chassis forces a change in direction by curving inward, your body tries to maintain its original straight-line path. The car essentially turns into you, creating the physical illusion that the force is actively driving you outward. Because this effect arises purely from mass resisting a change in velocity vector direction, rather than a physical contact interaction like a spring or a cable, classical physics label it a fictitious or pseudo-force. But in structural engineering and dynamic analysis, treating this effect as a fictitious entity is mathematically inconvenient. This brings us directly to D'Alembert's principle. According to D'Alembert's principle, any dynamic system in motion can be simplified and analyzed using the straightforward laws of static equilibrium. But how do we achieve this? We do it by introducing an artificial inertial force. This inertial force is mathematically defined as being exactly equal in magnitude to the mass of the object multiplied by its acceleration, but it is directed in the absolute opposite direction. We'll call this the reverse effective force, or REF. Because we are dealing with a curvilinear translation, our focus is on the normal or radical axis. Therefore, the centrifugal force acts as a reverse effective force in the normal direction, written here as REF. And let's break down the mathematical formulation governing this concept. Let, let, let's examine each variable to understand how changing physical conditions alter this force. First, W represents the total gravitational weight of the moving body. Next, G is a constant acceleration due to gravity. Depending on the problem's unit system, we use 32.2 feet per second squared for the English system, or 9.81 meters second squared for the metric system. The variable v denotes the instantaneous tangential velocity of the body as it traverses the curve, and r signifies the specific radius of curvature of the circular trajectory. Notice the mathematical relationship here. Velocity is squared. This means if a vehicle doubles its speed around a car, the outward centrifugal force doesn't just double, it quadruples. Conversely, because the radius is in the denominator, a sharper turn with a smaller radius will dramatically increase this outward force. This formula is the bedrock of how we analyze dynamic systems in static configurations.
So, try na natin sagutan itong sample problem number 1. So, a 57.8 pounds hammer is mounted at the end of 3 feet lightweight rod and makes an angle of 25 degree. The rod is hinged at point A, allowing it to rotate about horizontal axis. A. Determine the reaction force at the pivot, or yung bearing reaction, immediately after the hammer is released from the position. B. Find the bearing reaction at pivot just before the hammer strike point B, given that its speed at that instant is 6.28 feet per second. So, dito, i-analyze muna natin yung problem. So, meron daw tayong hammer na nagwe-weigh ng 57.8 pounds. Na naka-attach sa 3 feet na lightweight rod. So, dahil dinidescribe yung rod na lightweight, ibig sabihin, yung weight niya is negligible. Ang i-consider lang natin sa part na to is yung weight ng hammer. So, ganito. Ang FBD nitong side, kung dito tayo mag-focus sa hammer na at rest is magiging ganito. Ayan. Huwag natin kalimutan yung angle na 25 degree. So, dito, ang i-consider lang natin is yung weight ng hammer. And then, bago nga pala ang lahat. Ito pala yung normal line, and then ito yung tangential line. So, ayan. Ito yung weight, again, 57.8 pounds. So, ayan. Etong weight lang yung nag-act dito sa part na to, wherein yung hammer is at rest. So, ang hinihingi sa una is yung reaction ng pivot immediately after ma-release yung hammer. Since kaka-release pa lang ng hammer, yung velocity niya is 0. Ibig sabihin, pag 0 yung velocity, wala pang centripetal acceleration kasi hindi pa siya gumagalaw. So, yung normal acceleration natin and yung tangential acceleration natin is 0 pa. So, ang forces lang na nag-act dito is yung weight na downward. Tapos, yung reaction or yung tension dito sa may rod na itatawag nating T. So, ayan. Meron na tayong reaction dito at meron na tayong reaction dito. Ano ba yung pwede natin gamitin na pagkuha ng force? So, pwede natin kunin yung summation of force vertical. Na i-assume natin na yung upward upward direction is positive. So, ito, W is negative plus T cosine 25. So, bakit ba cosine yung ginamit natin, but hindi sine? Kasi, ang kukunin natin is yung vertical components ng tension. Kaya, kaya cosine siya. Kasi, kailangan natin mabalance yung yung tension dun sa bigat ng hammer. Kunin lang natin yung calculator natin. Equate po lang muna natin ito sa zero. So, may weight pala tayo na given. So, ang magiging ayos niya is T is equals to W, which is 57.8 pounds over cosine 25. So, ayan, ilagay lang natin siya sa calculator natin. 57.8 over cosine 25. So, ito na yung sagot. 63.78 pounds. So, ito na. Nakuha agad natin yung unang hinahanap. So, dumako naman tayo sa pangalawang hinahanap, which is yung bearing reaction ng pivot before na mag-strike yung hammer dun sa point B na may given na velocity na dito. So, etong part na yon, yung hammer papunta na siya dito, na-release na siya. So, ito yung titignan natin. Yan. Itong hammer na to. At point A. So, ito yung point B. So, ayan. Ito yung yung tangential line. Tangential axis. Ay, bago nga pala yung lahat, dito, sa part na to, dahil merong forces pa na humahatak dito sa may both side na horizontal forces. Ayan. May humahatak na forces dito sa side na to, which is horizontal. Pero hindi na natin siya ginamit kasi nga, ang kailangan lang naman natin makuha is yung vertical components ng tension kasi para ma-equate siya dito sa weight. Kasi ito lang yung given eh. Wala namang given na horizontal components. So, ayan, ito yung tangent. Tapos, ito yung normal. Itong line na to, vertical. So, dito, ayun pa rin, meron pa ring weight na na present dito, which is yung 57.8. Tapos dito, may binigay na velocity. Velocity is equals to 6.28 feet per seconds. So, ayan. Paganto yung velocity kasi nga, galing siya dito, tapos pumunta siya dito sa baba. Ito yung maximum niya. I mean, ito yung pinakamababang napuntahan ng hammer. So, kapag yung velocity given, edi magkakaroon na tayo dito ng centripetal acceleration. So, yung AN natin, or I mean, yung tangent acceleration natin is same siya ng direction with the velocity. A80. So, ayan. Ay, may, wag niyo kakalimutan na, may tension or reaction na naghahatak dito. Papuntang point of curvature. So, tawagin natin yan ulit na T. Dito naman yan T na dito sa sa part na to. nung na-release na yung hammer. So, ayan. Ang ang normal acceleration naman, lagi siyang papunta sa center of curvature. Which is, ayan. AN. Dahil may, na siya, may centripetal acceleration na siya, kailangan natin siyang, kailangan may mag-oppose sa kanya, which is, nandito nalalabas yung REF normal. So, yung REF normal, ano nga ba yung formula nun? Diba ito yon? REF is equals to W over G V squared over R. So, ilista muna natin kung ano nga ba yung yung mga present dito sa REF na atin. So, yung weight natin is 57.8. Tapos, yung gravity natin, since pound siya tsaka feet, gagamit tayo ng English, which is 32.2. Ay, sama na natin yung yung mga units para hindi tayo malito. Feet per second square. Yung V natin is, 6.28 feet per seconds. Tas yung R natin, same lang siya dito sa sa length ng rod, which is 3 feet. So, ayan. Dahil meron na to, meron ring weight. Tapos, ang hinahanap lang natin is yung reaction at the pivot, which is etong T. So, ano ba yung pwede natin gamitin? Forces vertical ulit. Kasi paano siya lagi pa-vertical yung mga force na given. So, summation of force vertical is equals to 0. Assuming that upward direction is positive. So, unahin na natin yung reaction or yung tension ng rod. So, positive. So, T is minus yung weight. And then, minus etong pababang to, which is yung REF. Huwag na natin isulat na REF. Sulat na natin yung formula para isi-substitute na lang natin. W over G V squared over R. Ayan. Is equals to 0. So, makukuha na natin yung T kapag sinubstitute natin yung mga given value dito sa mga dito sa mga letter. So, yung W or yung weight is 57. 57.8 minus 57.8 over 32.2 i-multiply sa V squared, which is 6.28 squared over yung R natin, which is 3. Tapos ayan, makukuha na natin yung T kapag nilagay natin to sa calculator natin. So, ayan. Igalaw lang natin kasi hindi na siya kita. Ito. Saan ba kita? Yan. 57. Ay! Naging pala. Malilipat lang pala yung T dito. So, yung yung weight natin or yung W natin is negative pa rin. So, 57.8 minus 57.8 over 32.2. I-multiply sa V squared, which is 6.28 squared over 3. Ay, nakakalimutan natin yung minus sign. Sorry. Ayan. So, ang kakalabasan is 81.3970. Or, ang gawin natin is 2 decimals lang pala tayo, no? 81.40 pounds. So, ito yung sagot natin. So, ayan. So, ano nga ba yung concept behind dun sa sagot natin? So, mapapansin kasi natin na yung reaction after ma-release is 63.78, naging 81 siya, 0.40 nung na-release siya. Kasi sa dito sa A na hinahanap natin, yung hammer at rest pa rin siya. So, yung reaction na nagbabalance lang dun is yung weight natin. Kaya, mababa siya. Pero, dun sa dito sa letter B na hinahanap natin, yung hammer is nag-move na siya in circular path. Aside from supporting the weight, yung pivot also needs to provide the centripetal force. Ito, yung mga ito. Para mag-move lang yung hammer towards dun sa center ng rotation. So, ano nga ba yung yung concept nito? So, habang bumibilis yung pag-travel ng hammer dito sa second sa second position niya, mas nagiging higher yung required force na nire-required para yung object is mag-move at mag-stay dun sa place. So, ayun.
So, for the next sample problem, sabi dito, a 4 kilogram bob is attached to a 3-meter cord, forming a simple pendulum that swings in a vertical plane. At the position shown, the cord makes an angle of 20 degrees with the vertical. The tension in the cord is 2.5 times the weight of the bob. Determine the velocity and tangential acceleration of the bob in that position. So, first, i-list down muna natin yung mga given. So, given. So, yung unang given is yung mass ng bob, which is 4 kilogram. And 3 meters. Tapos, yung angle, o yung theta, which is 20 degrees. And yung sinabi na yung tensional force, o yung tension is equals to 2.5 times yung weight. So, ano yung mga hinahanap? So, yung mga hinahanap is yung una, yung velocity ng bob and yung tangential acceleration. Ayan. So, ayan, ipa-plot natin yung mga given. So, yung theta, dito yan, 20 degrees. Yung length ng cord na 3 meters. Tapos, di ba, ito, since ito yung bob, meron siyang weight na nagpupull dito pababa. So, yung weight na to, equal siya sa mass ng bob times gravity. So, since given naman yung mass, masosolve natin yung weight. So, 4 times 9.81
times 9.80. So, ang weight is 39.24 Newton. Yan. Since nakuha na natin yung weight, makukuha na rin natin yung value ng tension. So, tension equals to 2.5 times ng weight. So, may value na tayo ng weight. So, substitute natin siya dito. 2.5 times 39.24 times 2. So, ang value ng ating tension is 98.1. Ito. So, yan guys. So, since nakuha na natin to, tsaka ito, madali na para sa atin para makuha yung value ng velocity at saka nung tangential acceleration. So, una is yung sa velocity. So, paano ba siya makukuha? So, para makuha yung velocity, kailangan natin i-sum up lahat ng forces along sa normal axis or dito sa direction ng normal axis nga. So, summation of forces along normal axis is equals to 0 plus E. So, ano nga ba yung mga present na forces? Di ba meron tayong tension force? So, itong T na to, or yung tension na to, dito yan. Parang tension force siya ng cord. Tapos, meron tayong weight na nagpo-pull. So, di ba yung parang magiging flat natin dyan? Ito, paganda siya. Mas paganda siya. So, kung makikita nyo yung pagkaka-flat natin ng weight, ano siya, resultant siya. So, ibig sabihin, meron siyang vertical tsaka horizontal component. So, ang vertical component ng weight is, since nandito yung theta, diba? Is W cos theta. Tapos, since, di ba may movement, hindi naman sinabi na at rest yung bob. So, merong nag-act dito na REF. So, ayan na. So, na-identify na natin yung mga forces along normal axis. So, ililist daw na natin siya. So, since yung direction ng tension is pa ganito, so, positive siya. So, T. Tapos, yung vertical component naman ng weight is pa ganito. Tapos, downward. So, negative. W cosine theta. Tapos, yung REF naman, same direction siya dun sa vertical component. So, negative din siya. Minus. Is equals to 0. So, ito, pwede natin siya i-transpose na sa kabila. Tapos, i-ano na natin yung formula nito. So, T minus W cosine theta equals to W minus over. So, ayan. So, since known naman yung value nitong mga to, actually, ang unknown lang talaga sa kanya is yung velocity. So, pwede natin siya makuha ng ano lang, by direct substitution lang. So, T, 98.1 minus 39.24 cosine 20 is equals to 24 over 9.81 So, yung R, siya din yung length ng cord. Since, diba, ang radius, distance siya from center ng circle
hanggang dun sa arc ng circle. Eh, di ba, ito, yung pivot point. Ito yung parang nagsiserve as ano natin, yung center. Parang, ito. Ito yung pinakang center. Tapos, ito yung, itong pinagagalawan ng bob. Di ba pa ganito siya? Ganito siya nag-move. So, ito yung arc. So, yung distance between them, ito yung length ng cord. So, ang value ng R is yung length din ng cord na 3 meters. So, ayan. 98.1 minus 39.24 cosine 20 is equals to 39.24 So, ang makukuha nating value ng velocity ay 6.78 meters per second. So, ayan. Nakuha na natin yung value ng velocity. So, proceed naman tayo sa tangential acceleration. So, para makuha yung tangential acceleration, sa-sum up din natin yung mga forces na present dito sa tangential na axis. So, ano ba yung mga present dito? So, kung, di ba ito, may vertical component siya, meron din siyang horizontal component. Paganto siya. So, yung horizontal component nito ay yung weight plus sine theta. Tapos, di ba, since may movement na siya, meron siyang present dito na REF. REF. So, yan lang naman yung mga present na forces sa tangential axis. So, ililist down natin siya. So, summation of forces. So, ito. So, since pag ganun siya, ito yung direction niya, pag ganito siya. So, ang ano yun ay negative. Sin theta. Tapos, itong RE plus RE is equals to 0. Tapos, ito, di ba yung formula, substitute lang ulit natin. Tapos, yung tangential acceleration, sin theta. So, di ba, ayan. So, yung mga value dito, di ba, mostly naman known. Tapos, ang unknown lang is yung tangential acceleration. Ibig sabihin, makukuha na natin ito. I-direct substitute lang ulit natin yung mga values na nauna na natin nakuha. So, yung weight na 39.24 over 9.81 times tangential acceleration is equals to 39.24 sine 20. So, tangential acceleration equals siya sa 39.24 sine 20 over 39.24 over 9.81. So, ang tangential acceleration natin is 3.36 meters per second squared. So, ito na yung sagot. So, nakuha na natin yung value ng velocity ng bob and yung tangential acceleration.
So, sample problem number 4. Actually, this is the easiest one. So, ang sabi dito, a motorcycle enters a curved road with a radius of 80 meters. So, meron ka daw 80 meters na radius at a speed of 18 meter per second. So, meron ka daw speed na 18 meter per second. The rider accelerates uniformly at 3 meter per second squared. So, this is the tangential acceleration. 3 meter per second squared. For 4 seconds. So, time natin ay 4 seconds. So, let's find the motorcycle speed at after 4 seconds. Yun yung una natin hahanapin. Next is the normal acceleration at the end of 4 seconds. The third one is the total acceleration at the end of 4 seconds. So, ito nga pala guys ay initial velocity. So, first, una nating hahanapin ay yung final speed. Final speed ng motorcycle after ng 4 seconds. Okay. So, dito, pwede natin gamitin yung kinematic equation. Diba sa kinematic equation, meron tayong V is equals to V, initial velocity, plus acceleration and time. We also have displacement over initial velocity plus 1/2 acceleration time, and final velocity squared is equals to initial velocity plus 2 acceleration displacement. So, dito, wala tayo nito. Pero meron tayo nito. Nito. Pero hindi naman kasi natin ito hinahanap. So, wala yan. Dito, wala naman tayo nito. So, mas okay kung ito yung gagamitin natin. Di V is equals to V initial velocity plus A time, acceleration time. V is equals to initial velocity na 18 plus yung acceleration natin na 3 times yung time natin na 4. Edi 18 plus 3 times 4, 30. So, final speed natin after 4 seconds ay 30 meter per second. So, next is find the normal acceleration at the end of 4 seconds. So, ayan. Dito, ito normal acceleration. Di ba ang formula niyan is normal acceleration is equals to v squared over radius. Yun lang. So, substitute lang ulit. R. Ang gagamitin nga pala natin ditong velocity is ito. Kasi ang sabi dito, at the end of 4 seconds. Eh, di ba dito ang hinanap natin is yung final speed or yung velocity after 4 seconds. So, 30 squared over 80. Kasi radius natin dito ay 80. So, 30 squared over 80 is equals to 11.25. Is equals to 11.25 meter per second squared. So, ito yung answer natin sa second na hinahanap, normal acceleration. And the last one, find the total acceleration at the end of 4 seconds. So, dito, ang formula ng total acceleration is acceleration square root of total tangential acceleration squared plus normal acceleration squared. Yan. So, substitute lang ulit. Ganun lang ulit. No? Ito ang ating tangential acceleration. So, yan. So, ba yun? 3 squared plus this one, ating normal acceleration, 11.25 squared. So, ating total acceleration ay, oops, hindi ko pa pala nakaulit dyan. Square root of 3 squared plus 11.25 squared is equals to 11.64 meter per second squared. So, that's all. Kuha na natin lahat. So, ang summary lang. Summary ay ang ating nakuwang velocity ay 30. Summary na answers to. Ating normal acceleration at the end of 4 seconds is 11.25 meter per second squared. At ang ating total acceleration ay 11.64 meter per second squared. Na!
So for the next problem, ulitin lang po natin. In the figure shown, the 20 pounds ball is forced to rotate around the smooth inside surface of a conical shell at the rate of 1 revolution in pi over 4 seconds, assuming that g is equals to 32 feet per second squared. So for A, find the tension in the cord, find the force on the conical shell, and C, at what speed in revolution per minute will the force on the shell become 0? So ito po yung figure natin. And first step, bago masagutan ng lahat, ililist muna natin lahat ng given na meron tayo. So una, meron tayong weight is equals to 20 pounds. Meron din tayong angle na 30 degrees and then meron din tayong length na 4 feet. Nasabi rin na ang time daw natin or T. For 1 revolution, meron tayong pi over 4 second. And then, meron din tayong G na 32 feet per second squared. So, dahil alam na natin lahat ng given, proceed na tayo sa letter A. Find the tension in the cord. So, ito yung figure. And para hindi na tayo mahirapan, since ang formula ng centrifugal force natin ay formula mass times normal acceleration, centrifugal force, meron tayong WV squared over GR. Yan. So, kunin muna natin yung eto, R. Then, meron din tayong angular speed. Then, meron din tayong linear speed. So, for radius, ang magiging formula natin ay L sine 30 degrees. Substituting the value of L, meron tayong 4 sine 30 degrees. Therefore, ang radius natin, pag nilagay sa calcu, 4 sine 30, meron tayong 2. So, ang radius natin ay 2 feet. Next, angular speed naman po. Sa angular speed, meron tayong formula na 2 pi over time. So, ang time natin ay pi over 4. So, magiging 2 pi over 4. Therefore, pag ilalagay sa calcu, meron tayong 2 and then pi. Meron din tayong pi over 4. So, 8. Ang angular speed natin ay 8, then ang magiging unit natin ay rad per seconds. Then last one, meron din tayong linear speed. Sa linear speed, ang formula lang ay radius times angular speed. So, ang nakuha nating radius ay 2 feet. So, 2 times ang nakuha nating angular speed ay 8. 2 times 8. So, meron tayong 16 feet per second. So, next, pwede na natin kunin yung value ng tension sa cord. Pwede natin siyang equate as T is equals to yung weight, W, and then kung makikita natin, ang angle na meron siya ay 30 degrees. So, W cosine 30 degrees plus yung ating centrifugal force, yung WV squared over GR, and then ang kanyang angle naman ay 60 degrees. So, cosine 60 degrees. So, substitute lang natin lahat ng value na meron tayo. So, meron tayong weight, merong linear speed, merong gravity, at meron din tayong nakuhang radius. So, equals 20 cosine 30 degrees plus 20 times, ang linear speed natin ay 16. So, 16 squared over gravity ay 32. And then, ang nakuha nating radius ay 2 cosine 60 degrees. Therefore, kapag i-input natin sa calcu, again, 20 cosine 30 plus 20 times 16 squared, and then 32 times 2 cosine 60. Ayan. So, ang makukuha natin ay 57.32. Therefore, ang value ng tension natin ay 57.32 pounds. Yan. So, nakuha na natin yung hinahanap sa letter A. Proceed na tayo sa hinahanap sa letter B. Sa letter B, ang sabi dito, find the force on the conical shell. So, ang hinahanap natin ay itong letter R. Si R. So, again, ang value ng tension natin ay 57.32 pounds. Pwede naman natin siyang ma-equate as R is equals to, unahin natin to, si centrifugal force, magiging WV squared over GR, then sine 60 degrees minus, since pababa to, ang weight natin ay W sine 30 degrees. So, katulad lang din kanina, isa-substitute lang natin lahat ng value na meron tayo. So, ang W ay 20 times 16 squared over gravity na 32 times radius na 2. sine 60 degrees minus 20 sine 30 degrees. Therefore, kapag i-input natin sa CalQ, so kapag ganito, same lang din naman, pwede na nating, sige, clear na lang din natin. 20, 16 squared, and then 32 times 2 sine 60 degrees minus 20 sine 30 degrees. Therefore, meron tayong value na force or yung R natin ay equal siya kay 59.28 pounds. Ayan. So, last one. Dito, ang sinasabi, at what speed in revolution per minute will the force on the shell become 0? So, kung ano yung equation natin dito sa letter B, gagayahin lang din natin. But this time, yung R natin magiging 0. So, kunin lang ulit natin. R is equals to WV squared over GR sine 60 degrees minus W sine 30 degrees. So, again, yung value ni R, gagawin nating 0. Then, the rest, sasubstitute na natin lahat ng value. Pero this time, si V natin ay gagawin, siya yung hahanapin nating value. So, 20 times V squared kasi si V yung hinahanap. And then, G, 32 times 2 sine 60 to. Sine 60 degrees minus 20 sine 30 degrees. So, pwede na natin siyang ulit i-equate sa CalQ. So, dito, mag-shift solve lang tayo para makuha natin yung value ni V. So, 20 times x squared, then 32 times 2 sine 60 minus 20 sine 30. So, ang nakuha natin, syempre dalawa yung nakuha natin dyan. Meron tayong negative at positive. So, kapag gantong mga value naman, ang kinukuha natin ay yung positive. So, nakuha nating V or ang linear speed natin ay 2 decimals, 6.08. So, meron tayong V na 6.08 feet per second. So, ang hinahanap kasi natin dyan ay yung sa angular speed. So, dahil may V na tayo, again, kung i-recall natin, ang formula natin kay V ay V is equals to radius times angular speed. So, dahil nakuha na natin si linear speed na 6.08, ayan, substitute lang natin. Then, may radius naman tayo na 2. Tapos, ang hinahanap natin this time ay yung kay angular speed. So, 2 times angular speed. So, lagay natin sa CalQ, 6.08 equals to 2 times angular speed. So, nakuha natin, ang angular speed natin ay 3.04 rad per second. Pero kasi, ang hinahanap natin based sa given ay revolution per minute. 'Di ba? So, i-convert pa natin siya into revolution per minute. Paano ba mag-convert? So, angular speed, so 3.04 times 60 over 2 pi, 'di ba? Equals 3.04 times 60 over 2 pi. Meron tayong 29.03 revolution per minute. Therefore, ang sagot natin sa letter C, ang angular speed natin ay 29.03 revolution per minute. Ayan, again, kung isa-summarize natin, ang nakuha nating value sa letter A, ang tension natin ay 57.32 pounds. Sa letter B, ang force natin or R natin ay 59.28 pounds. And then last one, ang angular speed natin ay 29.03 revolution per minute. And that's all. Thank you. Yun na.
Let's now proceed to the Example problem number 6 regarding the conical pendulum. So, dinrawing ko lang to dito sa paper para focus na lang yung ating pagsasolve. So, pinapahanap sa atin yung tension and velocity. Ito, let's start with tension. We know naman na ang vertical component ng tension natin is T sine of theta, wherein our tension yung ating hinahanap, diba? So, magkakaroon tayo ng T sine ng theta natin, which is 30 newtons. Then, since diba meron tayong relationship ng tension at weight natin, syempre kailangan i-equate natin yun doon. Meron tayong T sine theta is equals to mg. Okay? To get the mg naman, it is equal to mass natin is yung 5. Then in this given, ang gravity na gagamitin natin is 9.81. With that, makakakuha tayo ng relationship na T sine ng 30 degrees is equals to 5 times 9.81. So, magkakaroon tayo dito ng tension natin is equals to 5 times 9.81 all over sine of 30. So, kakaroon tayo ng 5 times 9.81 over sine of 30. So, 98.1. Yan yung ating 0.1. Yan yung ating tension. Don't forget the unit na Newton. Ayan. Next na pinapahanap naman sa atin is itong velocity natin. To find velocity, di ba dun sa discussion kanina, we have the relationship na T cosine theta is equals to mv squared over r. Ayan, so meron tayong relationship nitong ating horizontal resultant. Yung resultant force natin horizontally is nagpo-provide ng centripetal force, which makes this equation. So, substituting what we know, we have 98.1 cosine theta is equals to mv squared. We have mass na 5 v squared all over r, which is 1 given. Computing this value, we can get v squared is equal to, actually we can disregard this one since over 1 naman siya. We can have negative 98.1 cosine 30 over 5. Actually, hindi siya negative, positive siya. Ayan. So, kakaroon tayo ng V is equals the square root ng 98.1 cosine 30 over 5. So, velocity natin is 4.1220 meter per second.